Hi everyone, Dowd Kabley here. Today I'm going to be presenting my research paper on the cultural group, and I chose to do the Jewish culture. Today I have with me my friend Margarita Sildovnikova, Charvel Nachwe, and Marta Burek. So guys, first of all, I just want to start off by asking you, what do you know about the Jewish culture? What do you know about people that are Jewish? Do you have any friends that are Jewish, any practices or traditions that they do?
Our teammate is Jewish.
And what do you know about them?
Just some traditions, some different, that they celebrate Christmas a little bit earlier than everyone else do.
Right.
Just some small details.
Cool. Do you know any, I don't know, just any example of a symbol that kind of represents them? Like how they dress or something? Do you know anything about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like they wear a little bit different clothes than usual people do. So when you, for example, go to bigger cities with a bigger Jewish population like New York, you can see a separate streets and they you get recognized really well.
Right, that's pretty good. So today in my paper, in my presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the paper I did, and I'm going to go over some of the history behind Judaism and the Jewish culture. Then I'm going to talk about some cultural signifiers that symbolize them and what makes them different. Not different, I should say, just what makes them stand out, obviously. Then I'm going to go into some attitudes that they have, and followed by some general stereotypes and misconceptions. So hope you guys enjoy it. First, start off by giving you a little history. Did you know that the Jewish culture originated obviously from the religion of Judaism, and the birth of Jewish history started in the Bronze Era, which was like 1,000 years BC, before Christ, in the Middle East region, in the land of Palestine, which is now called Israel, really. The first accounts of Jewish people were told in the five first books of the Bible, and I got that information from an article written by Bohr in 2002. Throughout the history, the religion has gone through a lot of changes. For example, internal separations between the Jewish people led the Romans during the Roman era. It allowed them to step in and kind of take over the region, but that would later change. In the early era of the Crusading era, which was from the year 1000 to roughly 1600, many Christian countries wanted to capture the Holy Land of the Middle East, of Palestine, which is today Israel, as I said earlier. And they did this with military attacks, so they came in with force and tried to take it over that way. And that also was from the article by Bohr. Just to move along, from the 18th century into the 19th century, the religion continued to grow and spread across Europe. And it wasn't until the early 20th century that Jewish people actually started to migrate to America in larger numbers. When Jewish persecution began in Europe, as you guys might know, the Holocaust, the early beginnings and stuff like that, before the Holocaust, I should say, many Jews sought refuge out in America. So they tried to get out of there as quick as they can, basically, to escape that persecution. And that was the largest migration of Jewish people to America. But since then, there's also been continuing amounts of, expanding their families and stuff. So the population has grown significantly in the country. Moving along to some signifiers of Jewish culture here in America and around the world, actually. One of the most recognizable ways, as you said before, Margarita, was how they dress. In today's society, normally only the Orthodox people would dress in the traditional dress. For example, men wear what's called a rekel, and it's just a long black silk or polyester suit, and it's worn on weekdays, and this was from the website and the author Rich, and she published it in 2011. Women dress, there's not a specific dress that they wear like the men have to wear a suit, but they do have to dress conservatively. So they have to wear shirts that cover past their elbow, they have to wear a collar that covers their neck and their collarbone, as well as a skirt down to their ankles. But probably the most popular signifier of Jewish dress is what you guys might have seen called the yarmulke, or the kippah. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And that's just a little hat on top of their head that they use. Why I say this is more recognizable, because people, not only Orthodox Jews, but the regular people that just don't practice it as much, they wear regular clothes and go to work in work clothes. They sometimes still would wear this hat to work in clothes and stuff like that. Besides the clothing, there's a lot of other signifiers of their faith. One is called the menorah. You guys know what that is? the candle stand where during Hanukkah where they light the candles. Yeah, so that's actually the oldest symbol of Jewish faith. It's a 7 candle holder that symbolizes the motherland of Israel. So I mean, I know I've gone to like my friend's house who's Jewish, and I've seen it. I always see it there. It's always on display. Another one is called the mezuzah, and that's just something it's a good luck charm they put on their doorpost that they touch, and it has subscriptions from the Torah, which I'll get to what that is in a sec. To just wish good luck that they touch upon before going into the house. Traditional Jewish cuisine is another way that their culture is identified here in America. Many Jewish people that do not practice their religion associate their culture by eating their traditional foods. People feel more connected to their background when they eat their ethnic foods. I know you guys are not from America, so would you agree that sometimes eating Russian food, for example, makes you feel at home?
Yes.
It makes you more comfortable? Yeah. You like some Indian food here? Sure. Oh, there you go. So just to give you 2 examples of types Jewish dishes. Gefilte fish is a really common Jewish cuisine. It's like a fish cake or a fish ball, chopped up finely, mixed in with some herbs and stuff, veggies, onions, that kind of stuff. And matzah ball soup is known as Jewish penicillin, as I quoting Rich in 2011. It's basically a chicken broth with dumpling balls. I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but that's just the gist of it. Now, into their beliefs and what they practice and their values. Judaism is obviously the official name of the religion. However, there's a lot of flexibility as to the modern day aspects of belief, and there are some disagreements about some of the specifics in this religion. In America, however, I found this was really interesting. In the 1980s, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that being Jewish was a race. So, if you were a Jew, it would be your own race. Although this was, enforced by the government, many Jews in America felt offended by this. It was so sudden, and they didn't feel like considering them a race was fair or nice, I would say. In modern day America, most Jewish people consider their Jewishness, quote unquote, to be a matter of ethnicity or culture, not just a practice. Something really interesting I found was a recent survey conducted by Pew Research Center suggests that only 1 in 5 Jews living in America now describe themselves to be religious. So, only about 20%, they still practice it or care about it. And that was taken from pewforum.org. They identify themselves as the food, as I said before, with their clothing, symbols, holidays, even sometimes the Yiddish language they may speak to each other. Some of the beliefs and values that the Jewish people have is based on the teaching of the Torah. The Torah is their holy book, basically. The Torah is a religious book that gives the guidance and teachings that every Jew must follow, and that was taken from JewPositive.com, written in 2010. In essence, it teaches you just how to conduct life, how to be a fellow citizen, how to handle life and death, and many of life's major events. The Torah, which is the holy book, as I said, is split up into 2 separate parts. The first part is the written Torah and is referred to as the Tanakh. There are 5 books that are otherwise known as the Old Testament, the Bible, basically. But the other part is the oral Torah, which is the explanation of the first 5 books. But then these explanations done by the Rabbi Yedu Hasnasi were transcripted into text to be passed on for fellow generations to follow and practice, of course. And I got that as well from JewishPositive.com in 2010. All right, so on to the misconceptions and stereotypes about Jewish culture here in America and around the world. One of the more popular topics would be about how Jewish people handle their money and banking and finances and stuff like that. They're known to be very well with that, and the reason behind that is because in the medieval times, Jewish people were not allowed to own land, so they couldn't practice agriculture, so they had to venture off into other jobs that other Europeans didn't want to do. They found banking to be one of them, and they started lending money and collecting investment on that, so that's how the legacy kind of started off. So just to wrap things up, I gave you guys a background information and history of it. I talked to you a little bit about their symbols and what makes them different. I gave you some information on their practices and beliefs and some of the stereotypes. Thanks, guys.